Alright, I will be showing you guys how I mix the Traitors video, but since I've been running into a lot of software issues when I'm doing screen recording, running Pro Tools at the same time, kind of like a funky I/O setup so I can record my mic and also the audio coming out of the computer at the same time, I'll be breaking it down into a couple smaller videos. Don't mind my voice, I'm a little sick right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with just the raw drums, no processing, just so you can hear how it sounded straight off the board. Pretty good sounding drums, considering it's just no processing whatsoever. So we will go ahead and start with the kick, because that's where I start with any video, any mix pretty much I've ever done. Straight up, the kick sounds pretty good right off the board. During line check, I keep the recording going. I try to find a sample of the kick that's clean that I can use and put in a Drumagog for the whole video. And this is the one I chose. So it's the exact same kick. It just doesn't have any cymbal bleed, any monitor bleed, nothing else going on in there. Just to clean it up a little bit more. From there, first thing we do is the SSL plugin. This is kind of like my go-to for almost everything. It's a very affordable plugin by Waves, and it's very familiar for me because I learned on an SSL when I was in school. Mainly using it for its EQ. The compressor is there, but it's mainly for the EQ. I will go ahead and show you what the EQ is doing here by turning it off and back on. Pretty drastic difference, adding a lot of attack, 9 dB boost, 3 dB boost, all in the highs, high mids, and a huge scoop in an area where I just found was kind of muddy for this kick specifically. Adding some highs, taking out a little bit of the subs, and a little bit of the super sharp high end, but honestly, without these filters, you wouldn't hear that much of a difference. On top of that, we add a Pro Tools stock Digi EQ, just to bring even more out of what I want in that heavy kick mix. Go ahead and show you what that's doing. Listening back to it, it is a little steep as far as taking out the mids. I probably could have gone a little less harsh on it, but that's how it was when I printed the video, so that's just what I'm showing you. On top of that, I have another EQ, and this final EQ is usually the one that I'm dialing in while I'm listening to the whole mix together and just trying to find ways to bring the kick out even more from under the guitar and the bass. So this isn't as drastic, just a little bit of notching here and a little bit of boost just to get things cutting through. Depending on how you're listening to this video, you might not hear too much of a difference, but it is adding a lot of that thump in the low end. That's a pretty big boost in the low, and that's going to fill out our mix even more. So we will go on to put on a Joey Sturgis clip on that just to smooth it all out at the end, and then I also running some parallel compression just to make it even heavier. So pretty heavy kick drum. I'm going to go back to our drum spot here and show you how just the drums sound with the better kick, but nothing else EQ'd or compressed. So now we have a kit with a pretty much triggered kick at this point. Everything else is going to be a lot less processing, but we'll take a look at what I did on the snare with the SSL channel. Same plugin, very similar approach to the snare. We've got a little bit of the subs cut out here, but taking out some of that 1K, which is that ringy, like Saint Anger sound, boosts in like the 200 to 300 area, and then a lot of the attack. The biggest thing you'll notice when I play this A-B is that I'm bringing a lot of cymbals into the mix, and that is how I get the cymbals in all my videos, because I am not running cymbal mics at 95% of our shows. Just don't need it in the room. If you were there, you'd know that it's a very loud room. So I'll go ahead and show you what the EQ is doing, just so you can get a feel for that. The snare sounds like the same snare, it just has a ton more attack, and it's really cutting through a lot more. And now I'll show you what it's doing to the cymbals. That crash cymbal is cutting through probably 3 times louder than it was before. And that is a desired result. You will not see me gating any drum shells in any video I've ever done. Joey Sturgis clip after that, because in my mind, this compressor is taking care of everything else that I need it to do. I'll show you what that is doing. It's not going to be super noticeable. Kind of just giving a little bit more punch. Even more cymbals are coming through because you're crushing that dynamic range. And then the Joey Sturgis clip is just prevents peaking, makes it a little bit louder. If you don't know what that plugin is, I'd look it up. It's also very affordable, and it's pretty much a must for drums. Snare verb, just using the Waves Renaissance verb with a setting that I made just based off of how I have it sounding live at the club. So with the verb, it's just a little bit bigger. Cool. So the last thing for the drums is the toms. And the toms are really good sounding toms, in my opinion. Very quick on the resonance, very good attack. He hits very hard. I'll go ahead and show you what the 2 toms sound like just by themselves with nothing on them. So like I said, really good toms. Both toms are approached pretty much the same way. Just bringing out the attack, taking out some of the subs, and that's actually more so to ease up on my compressor hitting as hard, because those sub frequencies are obviously going to hit the compressor a lot harder if there's a ton of them in there. So take a little bit of the sub out, bring some of the fullness in like the 1 to 200 range, scoop out the annoying mids, bring the attack, and I'm just gonna put both of these back on for the toms, so you can hear both toms with just the SSL plugin. And without. So right there, that's already a really good sounding tom. And like I said, I usually throw in another EQ just to bring it out in the mix more. And with toms, you could always throw a second EQ on just to bring a little bit more of that fullness and attack through. So this is pretty much what I'm doing on both of them. Similar EQ curves. Floor tom just has a little bit more of that boing-y sound, so I pulled those out. I'll show you what those are doing. So you're getting a lot more low end, a lot more attack, a lot more punch in the drums. No need for parallel compression, because then you'll just get a little bit too much cymbal bleed, because you notice the tom mics are picking up a lot more of just the overall bleed of the room, including the guitar cabs, and you just want to try to keep it as clean as possible. Just like all the other drums, Joey Sturgis clip on the end, and there's your toms. So go ahead and show you one more time this drum fill in this beginning section here, with all the processing on it. And how that sits in the whole mix. So yeah, that's pretty much how I mix drums for this video and dozens of others. Thanks for checking this out, and I will get you guys another video very soon.